Welcome back to our final segment of our Carinine Hour, in which we are sharing in the conversation with Mr. Gibson about the whole employment situation. And what we are saying that the time has come for a change of approach, certainly from the level of government, to planning for the future and making available opportunities for Bahamians with skills to be employed and to have a say in helping to push forward the economy and the whole question of national development. And I think we have suffered tremendously by previous governments on both sides of the divide in terms of the approach to employment, where we have flooded these corporations and the public service with persons just as political favor, with no regard to skills, but simply doing people a favor or jobs for the boys. Well, that has to stop. Not only stop, but I think we need to drastically overhaul what presently exists. I don't think there's any well-thinking person who would disagree with the fact that the public service is too large. For a small country like ours, it is far too large. We mentioned earlier what Barbados did, but whatever we think about that action, we need to face our own situation. What can we do in our own situation? I heard it mentioned more than once by both sides now that despite the depression, the questions about the recession, the government did not reduce the public service. And that was being touted as a positive, but I am not sure that I would place that as a positive.
Right.
But it has been done by both sides. And to me, it can be simply a failure to be honest and look at what one has to do. But certainly, we have to create a new politics, a new brand of politics, where we are servicing the Bahamas and not just servicing members of any political party. What we do will be done for the good or for the best possible result for the Bahamas. Now, I don't know if we can expect the present political regimes, not just the party in power, but all of the political groups still seem to me to still have too much of the belief that to the victor goes the spoils. We have to kill that.
Absolutely.
If we're going to progress as a country. And I don't know if the political leadership in the various groups is courageous enough to let their followers know that those days are over. We must make a new start for our country if we are serious about development. If we are serious about making opportunities available for more Bahamians to get a piece of the pie and to share in what is to be available. And it seems to me that it must be done urgently, because the numbers of unemployed, the numbers are far too large. We cannot allow this situation to just continue to drift along in the hope that somehow it will solve itself. It cannot solve itself. It can only be solved by proper planning and the willingness of people in power to take the right kind of measures, irrespective of what it will say about the political party. Now, you may dismiss that as daydreaming, but I don't see that there's any other solution to the problem. And there are repercussions for doing nothing.
Right.
Serious repercussions.
Right. You're so right, Your Grace. I believe the political process, whether it's the parties, they look at it in a two-phase approach. The first thing we need to do is get elected. The second thing is we need to fix up a couple of our supporters so we could stay elected. Then the third phase is that, okay, let's try to do some things. Let's try to do some good. Well, the order is totally wrong in that construct. And the reality is that a lot of people have a very clear notion of what needs to be done. But they also realize that if they even attempt to do these, there'll be a one-term government. And it's amazing. I have a lot of friends on both sides of the divide, and I need at least 2 terms to get straight. So it's almost like your primary role is to do the good for the nation. That almost becomes a secondary or a tertiary objective.
More tertiary, no? As opposed to secondary.
But having said that, there has been a deterioration in the quality of life that we experience here in the Bahamas. I mean, you just look at this whole phenomena about the amount of murders. We're almost immune to it now. People have a casual conversation on a Monday morning. Oh boy, it wasn't too bad. We only had 2 murders
over the weekend.
Whereas 20 years ago, you had 2 murders. That sent pandemonium. So it's almost like we're becoming immune to this sort of thing. The other argument I hear, well, it's not too bad because it's a bunch of unsocialized young men killing each other. Maybe it's good in the long run. Well, how insensitive can you become to this sort of thing? The other thing too is that the amount of money you spend on security and the amount of brain power you spend on security as opposed to creativity and taking the Bahamas to the next level, the relationship is all out of whack. Crime probably is the biggest impediment to reform in the Bahamas. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
And the lack of employment feeds into that.
Yes, and it's a vicious circle. Right, exactly.
But then you come back to who is prepared to take responsibility, to look realistically and honestly at where we are and the kind of society that we have, and be committed to making the changes that are necessary. And I would want to emphasize the need for change. Unless we change, like the vessel on the sea, I mean, if we don't change direction, we're headed for the shore. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it.
On a national level, there hasn't been that overall acceptance of the call to service. I say that in the sense that what the rich and the middle class are doing, okay, well, I'm going to buy a security system for my house. I'm going to even get security guards. I'm going to move into a gated community. That's how they deal with it. I'm just fortifying my particular home and what have you. Then the second phase with the other, those who are in a better financial position, you know what, I'm going to buy a place in Florida. I'm going to buy a place. So that's what you're having. So if everybody does that, there's only but so many gated communities. What happens to what's left? And that's what people are not really focusing on. And
but what gated community in Nassau is really safe if you have not even a proper revolution, but even a halfway revolution? None of them are safe.
No, none of them. None of them. But we need to engage on a national level. Everybody's just doing things on a personal level. All right? And then even if, so you're going to get some exodus of the wealthy. And, for years you've seen the wealthy expatriating their monies, whether they're doing it, well, they're not doing it
illegally, but they're doing it.
Right.
They're getting it done.
That is gonna grow, and that's gonna continue, and that doesn't help us back here in the Bahamas.
Well, this is what I mean by being honest about where we are and being willing to make the changes that are necessary if this country is to really grow and flourish.
And you only need to start, with just simple rule of law things. All right, book people for parking in the wrong place, running red lights. But you got to do it for everybody.
Everybody.
All right? We've been dancing around a proper national service. I fundamentally believe we need national service. Okay? But my child and your child have to go too.
Everybody must apply.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, we are still suffering from almost a myopic view of where we are as a country and what we need to do to change. So for those persons who are unemployed and the families that are really being adversely impacted by it, I think the country should be giving them some reason to hope.
Mhm.
And I see that receding. When you see people who have lost hope, you're sowing the seeds for serious
Right.
repercussions.
And I think we're on that path.
But unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we are.
Anyhow, thank you very much for coming, and I hope that things will go better than we are presently seeing. And that hope will be realized and we will build a stronger country.
Well, we certainly need it. And
We need it.
I want to thank you again, Your Grace, for inviting me here and really to afford me the opportunity to have this conversation
Pleasure.
with you on issues of national import.
Well, thank you very much. And to our viewers, good night and God bless.